Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So today I'm doing my review of DDO's newest adventure pack, The Lost Gatekeepers. The Lost Gatekeepers is located in the harbor. It is levels 32 and 3, which is the biggest gap between heroic and legendary versions of an adventure pack that we've ever seen in DDO. It is currently not for sale in the store because DDO is under a free-to-play period for all players, for anyone. So until June 1st, and that has just been extended from May 1st to June 1st, you can play this adventure pack for free. After that, it will be in the store. I don't know the price because it's not in the store yet. So the adventure pack, as I said, is located in the harbor, and there is actually a new public area that they've created in the harbor. It's right there on the docks, and it's kind of like a forest adventure area, and there's a reason for that. It's because this is a druid themed adventure pack. In this new public area, you won't only find the NPCs for the new adventure pack, but you'll also find entrances for the quests that were in the Hall of Heroes. Those have all been moved to this area, so you can now find entrances to the Temple of Elemental Evil, the Slavers pack, and White Plume Mountain quest. You can find all that now there, in addition to a couple other things. You can also find a entrance to Cerulean Hills adventure area that used to only be in the market. You can now find an entrance in this new public area, and there's a reason for that. It's because most of the quests in this pack are located in the Cerulean Hills, which is good. They decided to add more stuff to the Cerulean Hills because before it only had two adventures in there, so 2 quests. So they definitely had room to expand, and they actually used some of the prior explore locations as settings for some of these quests. Let's get into the quest. Now this will be a very spoiler light review, so I'm not going to go into heavy spoilers, so I wouldn't worry about it. If you're worried about spoilers, you can still watch this. I'm not going to spoil anything major. I'll just show little tidbits here and there of things, but there won't be any major spoilers. So as I mentioned before, this is a druid themed adventure pack. So the basic story premise here is that you have to go and meet the Gatekeepers, which is an order of druids. And recently, 4 of their initiates, which are basically students or apprentices, have gone missing. So you have to go and figure out what happened to these four people. So each of the NPCs for the first 4 quests is actually a vision of one of these lost students. So as you can see here in the public area, the NPCs are clear and kind of a little incorporeal, and that's because they're visions. They're not actually the characters that are there. It's visions of the characters. Each story, each of the quests is focused on each one of these 4 students, and you will go into each quest. You'll learn more about that particular student and their story, and you'll figure out what happened to them. And I won't give any of that away now, but needless to say, that's basically how the pack is themed. And then the final 5th quest will wrap all of that up and into a conclusion. So let's go ahead and start with the first quest, which is called The Home of Memory. So this adventure is the story is focused on a half-orc apprentice named Thiel Shattertusk, and it's a pretty straightforward quest. This is one of the very simple quests in this pack, and most of the pack's quests are pretty short. There's not too much to say here. There's mostly, you fight scorpions, some elementals. There is a new monster type, which I noticed, which is a raven. I don't believe that has been anywhere else in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's new. It appears to be it doesn't appear to be a new monster. It appears to be a reskinned bat. So I know a lot of people don't like bats. They're kind of annoying, but because of the small hurt box that they have. So you may or may not like that, but you do fight some of those in here. But it's not too bad of a quest. It's very, very, very short. So the next quest is called Heart of the Problem, where you find out the story of a Warforged student initiate, and he's kind of timid and worried about being a Warforged and trying to be a druid because he thinks his construct nature will hold him back. So you have to go figure out what happened to him. The quest is located in an abandoned mine shaft. It's again another very short quest, but there are 2 different paths you can take through the quest to get to the end room. So you can, if you want to do all the optionals, you'll want to go to both sides and do both paths. And the paths are a little bit different, so it can be really short or it can be not as short. It's still going to be short either way, especially if you know what you're doing. It's going to be really short. The optional here, there's an optional with clay golems that actually requires you to type in a text command, and I'm not sure if that's ever been done in the game before, but they actually use the text field as a way to basically advance the quest or do an optional. I think it has been used before, but it's not used very often in the game. Nothing else. So let's see. So that's about it for the second quest. Not too much else to say there. Quest number 3 is called Rosemary's Ballads. It's about a local girl that went to join the Gatekeepers. So you have to find out her story. It's very centered around her family, and it's, in my opinion, of the 4 initiates, this is the one I was easily the most interested in. It's a really good quest. It's located basically in the home of her family, so you have to go around the home and kind of figure out her story. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that as you go through each of these first 4 quests, there are little beams of, not beams of light, but little balls of light that you'll encounter as you go through each of these quests, and you'll click on those, and that's the way you'll kind of advance the story. You'll see visions of each of these student initiates, kind of giving a detail of kind of what happened to them as they went to these places, which you are subsequently visiting to try to find them and find what happened to them, see where they went. So yeah, but this one in particular is very good with this initiate. I really liked Lily's story, Lily Hargrove, which is this name of the student. Not too much else to say about the quest. I mean, there's some stuff we've seen before in many other quests. There's some finding of crests here. You need to find crests, open doors, and there's some levers to pull. There's not too much else to say here about this one. There is some alternate areas kind of at the end if you want to do all the optionals and stuff. And there's a lot of optionals in all of these. I wouldn't say a lot of optionals, but there are optionals, I think, in almost all these quests, so you can make them a little bit longer depending on if you want to do everything. Okay, quest number 4 is called the Sacred Bounty, and the initiate for quest 4 is called Foxpaw, and he is a student who is reluctantly joined the Gatekeepers at the request of his family, or at the insistence of his family, but he really wants to be an artificer, so that's basically the opposite of a druid. So kind of interesting story in that way. So with the student being an artificer, it kind of makes sense that this quest would be a little bit more puzzle oriented, and it is a little bit more puzzle oriented. It's not that bad. Like, it's not a huge amount of puzzles or anything, but there are some puzzles in here that you need to do. There are some levers you have to find, which aren't exactly in too obvious of places. You might have to look around a little bit to figure out how to open different areas of the quest. This one took me a lot more time, I would say, than the first 3 for sure. There's also a very pretty cavernous area kind of at the end of the quest, which I thought was just very pretty and cool. Very pretty there at the end. Okay, so with the first 4 quests down, let's talk about the last quest, which is called Housekeeping. And it's hard for me to show you any of this quest without giving away the story and spoiling it, so I'm not going to. But this quest is located it's not in the Cerulean Hills like the other 4. This is located in the harbor. There's a hut, a mysterious hut that has landed in the harbor, and it's the really weird, funky looking hut. And that's where this one is located. And when you go there, you'll see immediately when you get inside that hut, as you start this quest, you'll kind of find out what's been going on with the story, and it'll wrap itself up really nicely. Okay, first thing to say about this quest is you might want to go grab your bong, grab your tie-dye t-shirt, because it is extremely trippy, like very, very trippy. It reminds me a lot of the quest I Dream of Jeets in the Inspired Quarter. It's in that same sort of vein. So if you like that quest, you'll like this one. There's also a puzzle room in this quest, which is very reminiscent of, say, the puzzle room in a quest like Smash and Burn from the Cogs and Charn. If you like that, then you'll like this as well. Now, I will say that if you hate that kind of stuff, a big puzzle room, then don't worry, because you don't actually have to do it. It's optional. And this quest in and of itself can be extremely short, like just a handful of minutes if you want to not do any of the optionals, or first time through, if you want to do the puzzle room, it could take you could spend an hour in here. So could be longer or shorter, just depending on if you want to do the optionals or not. Let's see, the puzzles themselves in this pack and others, there's really no new puzzles, although they have tweaked the presentation of some puzzles we've seen before so that they kind of look a little bit different, and we see that in this quest. But that's about all I can really say about this quest. And really, again, I wish I could show you some, but I don't want to because I don't want to spoil anything. So, and it's again, when you get into this quest and you run it, you'll see why I couldn't really show you anything because showing stuff would really give away the story. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so let's now that we got all the quests down, let's talk about the loot. So the loot, it's really honestly hard for me to comment too much on. The loot is basically in the same vein that we've seen of other adventure packs. So what we've seen in the game is that whenever they release an expansion, then we see a boost up in power. So they put in power creep on expansions, which makes sense. They should. An expansion, you pay more. They go over and above. It's the time to do power creep if you're going to do power creep. So with these new adventure packs, what they've done is really, it seems like they've shot to kept the power level of the gear about at the same as what in-game gear is now. So it doesn't appear. At least I could be wrong. You check the loot list out for yourself. I'll actually link it below in the description. But it doesn't. Nothing I could really see there was like must have. Like you got to go get it. Like this is a great new shiny thing that you got to get. I didn't notice anything like that. There's a variety of things you may or may not want, just according to what your character runs and how you're gearing them. But it's really nothing there I can say is a must-have for everybody. It's basically loot that's on the same level as other stuff. There is some new stuff, so there's new minor artifacts in here. There's new filigree sets, so those might be interesting to you. So check out the loot list and see for yourself if there's anything you want to go out and farm. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about my overall rating of the pack and pros and cons. So let's start with the cons. So my biggest complaint with this pack, as I have often with a lot of their content, is that there's really nothing new in terms of, say, puzzles or monsters or mechanics. It's a lot of stuff we've seen before in DDO that's kind of been either reskinned or recycled or represented in a different way, but it's still the same ingredients of stuff we've seen before. So there's not anything drastically new, which honestly for an adventure pack, it probably is okay because like I wouldn't expect something brand new necessarily for every adventure pack, but it would be nice if for some adventure packs we would get say like a new monster, and we do sometimes, like some new monsters, some new puzzle types. They tend to reuse a lot of puzzles, like tile puzzles and things like that. I wish we would see some brand new, maybe like a jigsaw puzzle. There's a lot of different puzzles they could come up with, and it would be nice to see more different things instead of just another tile puzzle, another mirror puzzle. But that's one big complaint. My other major complaint is adventure area. So the adventure area, they didn't do a legendary version of the Cerulean Hills. Why? I don't understand why they didn't do that. I know it seems to be their policy, and they've never said this, but it seems to be their policy that they don't do adventure areas anymore unless it's an expansion. And they did. I kind of was thinking they might start doing more because they did do a new adventure area for Keep on the Borderlands, but it just seems kind of ridiculous to me that they didn't do a legendary adventure area for the Cerulean Hills, considering it's already done. It's an old adventure area. All they would have had to do was up the credit level of the monsters and update the experience totals, put some experience totals in there for a legendary slayer, and that would be it, right? I'm not a programmer, so maybe there's something I'm missing here, but I just don't see how that could been much work. It just feels lazy, and it feels like they're cutting corners by not doing an adventure area here, a legendary adventure area. Like, why should I have to? Why am I on a level 30 character running through a level 3 adventure area to get to legendary quests? Really? Come on, guys. You couldn't have done a legendary adventure area. It couldn't have taken that long. I would have liked to see that. I think they should do that, especially in this case where the adventure area was already done. So that's my other main complaint. Okay, so let's get to the pros. So the story. I really like the story, and I know I usually say I like the story when I do these adventure pack reviews, and that's because they usually do a good job with the story. But with this one in particular, I actually was very compelled, and I actually wanted to see what happened at the end. Like, I was running, when I was on Quest 3 and 4, I was really getting curious as to how this thing was going to end, and it really kept me going. And the quest pack wraps up very, very nicely in the last quest, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you run it. So another plus to this pack is that it is level 3. So if you're one of these people who's kind of PR'd a lot and you want new stuff to run at level 3, you can do that. You can get this quest for that, this pack for that reason. It gives you more stuff to run at low levels, although there's a ton of content at these lower levels in the marketplace and harbor and such. But that's one other perk if you want just more stuff to run. But I would say overall, it's an average adventure pack. It's one of these adventure packs in DDO that you get if you want new stuff to run, or if there's a particular piece of loot you want. If you don't fit under one of those two categories, you don't need to buy it, but you can buy it. It's not bad. It's average. It's a clear step down from the last adventure pack, Keep on the Borderlands. Clearly, that adventure pack is clearly better. But this one is it's okay. The story's really nice, but everything else is just kind of okay. So it's not must have, but it's a thing you can run and you can buy if you want. But luckily, the pack is free for everyone to run until June 1st. So if you're watching this before then, go run it. May as well. It's free. So guys, that's going to be it for my review. Let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. That's going to be all for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one and take care.